And like I promised, in times of latency, I'm going to run through some things on autoimmunity and the GI. So if you do want to see the slides, pop onto my bio there, click on the link in the bio, unless you're already on YouTube or Facebook or Rumble. And then you can get, if you scroll to the bottom of my website there, you can get to the YouTube channel and see all the stuff I'm about to go over. Because this will be cool. We'll go over supplementation, we'll go over autoimmunity and things like that. So, but let's start with this because the immune and nervous system connection, highly connected. All three of those, the brain, the immune system, the GI, there's just a lot of influence from one to another and a lot of antigens that you can come into contact with. So, normal function of antigen processing is done through the GI and the immune system. And that's really where you identify self and non self. So, cells that are yours and cells that are not. And just to highlight the GI and its influence on that, vagus nerve stimulation attenuates intestinal epithelial tight junctions, disruption in endotoxic toxic mice through A7 nicotinic acetylcholine receptors. So just by stimulating the nervous system or the parasympathetic system in the body, you can have body-wide effects to other systems as well. So this is where like vibration plates, sauna, chiropractic adjusting, getting physical stress off the system, that is a really quick way that you can impact both of those systems, nervous and immune, because those are the two primary systems. So the GI can influence both of those. But furthermore, on the connection here, and just in plain English on the left, autoimmune pathogenesis, issue in communication between the innate and the adaptive immune responses. This is where maybe if you guys have heard like T helper 1 versus T helper 2 cells, it's basically your body struggling to adapt to the immune antigens coming in. And so it can over respond sometimes and mistake your own cells for the foreign ones and do some collateral damage, which sometimes it's absolutely needed. But if it goes on too long, now you start to develop autoimmunity. And now we start running into problems. But continuous stimulation by non-self antigens, loss of gut barrier integrity, which it literally looks like this, or in your head should look like this, which is basically a big castle with a big castle wall, a wall of defense. And when you start to break those barriers, you get that drawbridge that comes down and basically allows an opening from that GI or that external environment, technically, into the bloodstream. So this is what that looks like, where that GI barrier is functioning. You get the whole picture of the cell there and the different layers, which now, with this next one, I know you guys on TikTok can't see this, but with this immune response, these are basically, these two green things are the cells that sit next to each other, and the junction in between, or this like path in between them, is supposed to be very tight. And through these different layers are basically different antibodies that start to respond from the top to the bottom. And those responses of antibodies should be occurring outside these tight junctions, really. You don't want them occurring deeper and deeper at lower and lower layers, because the closer that gets, and sometimes it actually gets through and into the bloodstream, and now you have chaos and even confusion with reacting to your own proteins there from those antibodies. So, you know, not good stuff. And I mean, this isn't like immediately what happens, but this is more of what happens over time. And once you continuously, this is why we run food allergies so much. And just this slide right here is where most of the medical people disagree. And they're like, well, you know, that stage 4 response to where it's reacting in the bloodstream to antigens and things like that, that's supposed to happen, which it is. But when it gets in excess, then we start getting some problems. So even people with that, Jesus, even people that don't have autoimmunity can still have that type of response. because that starts to develop over time. So now how do we get these responses? Toxicant induced loss of tolerance. So this is when you get stressors one after another that add up over time and basically beat those immune cells down, and now they're responding like crazy. And you can have stress, which this can be interactions with the environment. This can be a relationship. This can be other forms of mental stress here too. And that will lower your tolerance to handle immune antigens. Same as dysbiosis. So this is super common, especially on these platforms. People talking about parasites, people talking about um, basically gut bacteria, taking probiotics, maintaining a good, healthy gut microbiome because constantly taking in toxicity, which is really common in today's world, even makeup is toxic, um, can lead to things like dysbiosis. Then, in terms of the bug story, so chasing parasites, chasing mold, chasing bacteria, certainly a really, really common thing. That's kind of your phase three where you start to get overloaded because the system's been beaten down and then eventually lost tolerance there. So, you don't want to get to that point. Things like glyphosate, things like inflammatory foods, seed oils, gluten, especially from America, all those things can create those reactions, even vaccines, things like that. So, cheers. Um, Let me check in on the chats first before I keep rolling. I see somebody speaking a different language. I'm not sure what language that is or how to respond, really. Actually, hmm, what's going on here? Hey, nice. All right. I was saying hey to my other buddy that's going live too. So, all right. Where did we leave off? Addie. Addie's back. Hello, Addie. Cheers. Don't know why. Holding my mug like a buffoon. Okay. What are we doing here? I like to be nice and close. All right. Hi. Hello. I'm about to play soccer and having pain in the middle of my knee. What should I do? Don't play soccer. You sprained your knee. You're pushing the body outside of what it's able to handle, and now you're making it worse. And you only get two knees, so let's not mess them up for life. I'm sure that's not the answer you were thinking you were going to get, but it's the right answer, although it hurts a little bit. Yeah, pain is a signal telling you to stop. You know, um, but actually, in cross reference of the current conversation, um, with the autoimmunity and stuff like that, it is still similar pathways with COX-1 and COX-2, NF kappa beta, things like this. So, with this whole slide here, we're going to go over a ton of the just covering the liquids here, but with inflammation and the immune response, basically we need to downregulate when this is in excess and help you adapt to NF kappa beta signaling so that you're not going to be inflamed like crazy, which most people are. So, first one on there is cat's claw, which let me find that one. There we go. Get her up on the screen. So, cat's claw. Um, where are we? There we are. Cat's claw, obviously an adaptogen, so you're not gonna suppress an inflammatory response until your body doesn't work. That's not how supplements work, especially when they're liquid and extracted in the proper ways. But adaptogenic in terms of the immune response that it can convey there, obviously working on inflammation, tons of antioxidants, a huge immune supporter, but really supporting DNA repair and healthy neutrophil levels throughout, even certain medications and things that are done to that could lower those things. You can promote normal cell division, You can have joint inflammation come down. That's why a lot of mycoplasma infections, when people have, you know, chronic UTIs, when people have joints that flare up, even when barometric pressure starts to change and things like that. Usually, it's mycoplasma infections. So you could support that immune system, have good lung tissue being prepared from those immune changes, helping with the arthritic pain, and then even for something like tick-borne illnesses paired with Japanese knotweed, fantastic, and affecting CD57 uh, cells pretty well there too. So cat's claw, fantastic. And not just immune things, but we also got Japanese knotweed, so let's get that one. I just mentioned it too, um, to where this guy, we got same or similar functions with the anti-inflammatory aspect, antimicrobial. You're also getting the immune modulation there, but also regulating some lipids. So there is cardiovascular protectant aspects to it there. Tons of antioxidants. Obviously, any liquid herb is going to have that, but then you also get neurological support too. And like we were saying, reducing NF kappa beta activity, so helping with inflammatory responses that get into excess there. Um, so you're not having so many cytokines respond. You can even have some protease inhibition, which will help you later on with that inflammatory response or further down the cascade, helping with mast cells. So activation or hyperstimulation of mast cells, you've seen like MCAS. That's a really common one for people to talk about. But even with nitric oxide, so blood vessel dilation, helping the mitochondria exchange more um, or hold on to more energy that way and process energy better and have basically more oxygenation to the brain and all your different tissues. But helping with IgE responses, glucose metabolism, all these things. So even when you talk about estrogens that get metabolized in certain harmful pathways there, like on a Dutch test, you can now stimulate different aspects of the liver that are going to help you not have that DNA damage from certain estrogens being over metabolized down certain pathways. So, but we're not done yet because on that other slide was also milk thistle. So let's get this guy up here. And Mr. Milk Thistle, you don't really want to take this if you're anemic, because it can metabolize well, it will metabolize red blood cells a lot. It's still working with the NF-kappa B, obviously supporting liver like crazy, but even hepatocyte growth. So you're growing new healthy liver cells by doing that. So then restorative in that way, but also protecting hepatocytes from damage, helping with bile production, stimulation there, and pushing detoxification pathways like crazy. So that's a little tidbit on Mr. Milk Thistle, and then we got turmeric. So let me find the picture of turmeric. There she is. Boom. Let's get that puppy up there. Major anti-inflammatory with this one. This is pretty much something that I'm starting on most people on just because it's so impactful with the anti-inflammatory aspect. Um, Again, NF-kappa beta, down-regulating COX-2 inhibition, even with LDX, helping out there. Nitric oxide synthesis, same as the Japanese knotweed. Tons of superoxide dismutase, so really powerful antioxidant, helping with glutathione as well. And then phase one and two detoxification. So similar to milk thistle, but they are different, although they can be similar. Um, but yeah, that's right. Pretty cool though. I'll say. Just talking some supplements, and really with unless aside from the milk thistle piece, most of those you could definitely do if you're, autoimmune and things like that. Link in the bio. Obviously, I would wanna individualize some things toward you. Having labs done is definitely the best way. because we're not gonna be guessing with anything, but, if it's just the initial response that you're trying to calm down, totally, totally. Also, why is this, like, angled down so far? I don't know. I move my hands a lot so you guys can see. Not this camera, but that one. You guys can see my hands all the time. I'm Italian, so, you know, what are you gonna do? Um, TikTok was acting up. I said, "You probably shouldn't play soccer with that much pain going on still after a sprain." I wouldn't be. And hello. Ben, I don't think I've seen you in here before. Welcome, welcome. Let's check the live chats over here too. Crickets over on the other platforms. Rickets, I tell you. I'm surprised Rohith isn't in here. Rohith, none of the originals. Again, I think the US getting the TikTok screwed something up here. Not been the same. Not been the same. Sadness. What'd you guys think? What'd you guys think of turmeric? Pretty cool, huh? Actually knowing what the heck turmeric does. Alright, I'm gonna take a brief intermission. Very brief. And then we can jump right back into it. Okay. Also, I just realized I haven't even been going that long. It's been like freaking 15 minutes. What the heck? These past You know what though? Because I don't know, TikTok lives have been so freaking off. Um, it makes it feel like this is going forever, I guess. But no shots taken at you guys. I'm not blaming you guys. I'm just saying. I am just saying here. I also ow, I keep getting shocked. That's another thing. I think 'cause I'm actually wearing Uggs right now, so that's probably why. Getting getting shocked by my Uggs. Um, Let me stay on this camera. Cool. Well, so we talked about autoimmunity. We talked through leaky gut a little bit or intestinal hyperpermeability there, which was nice. Oh, there we go. Um, yeah, kind of still annoyed. Still annoyed. I spent 2 hours this morning, mind you, 2 hours trying to figure out how to get these stream keys from TikTok. Still trying to figure this out. So that I can put you guys in a different streaming platform to make this look a lot better. Because I don't know, I can't really show you anything. I could put, like, a green screen on there, but I could pull up slides and do all this other fancy stuff with all my other things. I could even pull up and highlight your question, but every time I talk about this, none of you guys go from TikTok to the YouTube page. No, nobody. You guys stay on TikTok. Diehard fans, which I love the commitment. I do. The energy's great, right? It's just, I don't know. And it's an older camera too. It's an iPhone, like, XR. Don't you wanna see a full lens? Plus, I switched the nice mic is now in the YouTube mic or Rumble, whatever, whichever you call 'em. What kinda doctor am I? A chiropractor and practitioner for the Wellness Way. I have my own practice here in New Jersey, and this is all holistic recommendations here. So, basically doing blood testing, urine, hormones, stool, saliva, all the good stuff. And that's to figure out mental, chemical, physical stressors that go on, inflame everybody's bodies, make you deficient, make you toxic and different things. And then it's now how can you change with nutrition, with lifestyle, and supplementation if needed to get that to normalize. So, mainly what I'm seeing is autoimmune. I see a lot of GI issues. I see a lot of childhood autism. I see crazy things too, like a child with cancer and crazy skin ulcers, like wild stuff sometimes. So, what is my what? What is I don't even know what that is. That's the first time I've seen that word. Oh, you're making fun of how I said urine. That's what you're doing. That is funny though. I probably said urine now that I think about it. Urine. How about that? I hate pronouncing words weird or wrong, so I did get it. You thought you had me there, but I was too quick for him. No, I appreciate the joke. That's actually really funny. D Dinoco? Is that how you say that? Look at me, already trying to pronounce your name correct. Um, I didn't think I was gonna get through those slides so stinking fast, man. We went over a bunch of stuff. I mean, I didn't go crazy into any of this any of this on the screen that you guys on TikTok can't see because you're not on the YouTube page. I'm trying to see. Maybe one person will do it. Maybe one. I don't know. We'll see. If any of you guys do wanna go from the TikTok live to the YouTube one, link in bio, scroll to the bottom, click the little YouTube button there, and you'll see camera angle that is 50 times better and the slides that I'm showing, which I didn't even realize were up right now. Um, diet-induced pro-inflammatory states. Oh, yeah, this was talking about, um, the impact of omega-3s on the inflammatory pathways. Basically, if you can get some healthy fats into the system, as long as you're not, trying to lose weight a ton, well, even if you are that too, getting inflammation down is the fastest way to lose weight. Um, so I take that back completely, actually. But yeah, getting omega-3s up, getting omega-6s down, getting your chips, your corns, all the yummy stuff out of your life. It's not that it can't be yummy, right? That's why we have the cookbook. That's why we have, who the hell is banging? My neighbor tenants are slamming their doors. They're probably all leaving because it's what? Oh my goodness. It's 8:49. Jeez. It's crazy, dude. How is it so late? I'm pretty sure it went and start you know what I keep getting confused by? I keep getting confused because I start the TikTok live up until there's, like, some people on and rolling in here just because 'cause it's been super quiet, and then once it's rolling, I hit the live button over here. And then another thing I haven't noticed, until now is I switched from doing a basically a vertical YouTube live like we're doing here. Switched from doing that to the horizontal one, and the discoverability is very different because I was having like, I don't know, 10 comments a second. It was crazy. Um, how do we feel about bread? In the US, I don't even think it's worth it unless you're making your own, to be quite honest. It's just a dangerous place to mess with. Emma, let's help Emma out here. Increase acne around the cycle. What to do? If it's during the period itself, you would want to help your liver convert some of those hormonal changes out of the body because it's usually a conversion issue, especially if you're a younger female. So you can do dandelion root and Sisandra, both of those, link in bio, and those will basically convert. Actually, let's go over those. I've been saying I'm going to show everybody the slides over on the other platforms. So let's see if I got a picture of dandelion root. I have Sisandra and dandelion. So let's start with Mr. Sisandra. Pull that guy up. There we go. Sometimes this thing goofs out on me a little bit, but obviously going to be a hepatoprotectant, so protecting the liver. Not going to grow new liver cells the same way that milk thistle will help with, but more of an adaptogen. So if you need stimulation with different liver pathways, whether it be drug metabolism, getting things out of the body, converting hormones down, tons of antioxidants. There's even melatonin within Sisandra. People don't realize that there's a ton of minerals in the liquid herbs too. So you don't really have to take the other individual vitamins when you're doing things like this in the proper amounts or proper forms. But yeah, potent free radical scavenger. Um, you're also going to have limited lipid peroxidation there, um, limiting apoptosis in acute hepatic injuries too. Um, is it like Oregon grape? Kind of, kind of. Oregon grape is more GI focused, more sugar focused. This is more hormone conversion specific. So, um, but yeah, you're gonna have effects on macrophages. You're gonna do, like I said, phase one and phase two metabolism there within the liver. So you're getting basically all CYP activity and then all of that um, phase two activation there too. So, but great for neurotransmitters, great for the female hormone system. That's kind of why I said that too. But then I mentioned dandelion as well, so let's get that guy in here. Boom. Mr. Dandelion. Dandelion a little bit different. Definitely gut focus to some degree because you're going to be moving uh, contents in the gallbladder throughout the system. So colorective, um, but known as a blood cleanser, helping out the kidneys a ton with filtration there, dilating kidneys, so you can move some moderate uric acid stones, people with gout, things like that. Will see great benefit from something like this. Um, Also, some urinary and antiseptic activity there, helping with blood pressure, ton of potassium in there. Um, Still pushing different liver pathways, but can help convert those estrogens down out of the system. Even if it's, testosterone bound issue, still helping out with the liver there, you're going to get those same things. So, all right, cool. Do I like red light therapy? I do. I do. I don't think it's a bad thing at all, actually. I think it's great stuff. Um, There's something to say about, having a ton of EMF around, especially from phones and computers and Wi-Fi and all this stuff. So I like a wood fire sauna. That's just my personal opinion. I like chopping the wood. I like cutting wood and freaking. I feel like I'm earning it more. I don't know. It's kind of a guy thing, I assume. Um, but sauna's great. Heat's great, especially for female guys. We kind of got to watch out with the boys downstairs a little bit, adding too much heat. No bueno. Can kill off a lot of cells there. But yeah, I'd say red light sauna is your best, like, top form of red light therapy, and there's some research being done on helping out with the eyes a lot, actually. So, that's really cool. All I have all I have access to is dry heat saunas. Yeah, just make sure you're wearing, like, a sauna hat or something, because 'cause you'll ruin a lot of hair with that. But, I mean, when you're in that, uh, menstrual phase, get in the sauna, man. Get in the sauna, sweat it out because that's a form of detoxification, and your body's gonna prioritize getting excess hormones out of the system. Your body isn't programmed to want to keep excess hormones in the system, um, so it's gonna be kind of approached with detoxification there. Just obviously hydrate and do all that stuff, and wear your sauna hat, 100% wool, don't burn your hair off, your scalp. So, I have a lot of people that have been trying saunas out and experiencing a lot of that. So, but sauna's great. Just gotta hydrate as I sip water and practice what I preach. I actually have I ordered a sauna tent, kinda pissed off though because they're out of stock. They went out of stock as soon as I bought it. So, freaking not getting to, like, February 20th? I mean, 20 days, not that far off now, but, um, man, annoyed. 'Cause, like, if you're out of stock, why is it still being sold? Um, and they still have freaking ads on Facebook and Instagram and stuff of still selling it. It's like, I wanna comment and and be like, you know, "Why are you selling these if they're out of stock? Or can I get a replacement one for this new one that people are somehow getting?" I don't know. Can you follow me? Um, if you mean online, sure. If you mean in person, nope. Will red light at night cause issues? No. No, it should help them actually. It should be very calming and kind of prepare you for bed. So be very much the opposite there. Very much the opposite. All the lights in my bedroom are red. So as soon as I get home, actually, as soon as I'm done with this, and if you have an iPhone, you go into settings, go into color filters, you can change it to basically turn off the blue scale light. Um, Not that that's doing all of it, but it's still a really good way to, when that sun goes down, turn that sucker on, and you can make it so it's like 3 clicks of the power button, changes. Because the nighttime mode is, like, not enough, but how many steps a day is ideal? I mean, good light movement is always great every day. Do I have, like, a particular number that I'm obsessed with? Not really. Not really. I want you getting a decent amount, at least 10,000. Of course, only TikTok. With weird emojis, though, so I can't tell. I can't tell if you're just joshing around or actually serious. Either way, at least 10K. I mean, yeah, at least 10K. But, I mean, there's other ways, right, to get activity in. Like, um, I do different stuff. I have a rebounder. It's like a little mini trampoline, a vibration plate. You can burn a ton of calories just standing on a vibration plate or just sitting on it. Actually, I'm gonna show you guys my box balling thing. This is actually really cool. I've been wanting to show you guys this for some reason. So this guy, wow, that's quite a delay there. That is quite a delay. This is what I've been wanting to show everybody. All right. It's actually kind of funny to see it on the stream there. Um, of course, it makes your hair look really good. You know? All right. Now, let me show you what I do. So I didn't bring them in here, but this looks so ridiculous. It's basically like a human cat toy. Got a little bouncy ball on the end of this, and you basically just punch it. But I'll put like 5 pound weights in my hand, 2 pound weights in my hand, no weights in my hand, and basically do this. You make sure you can see. Actually, really fun. But it does give you a nice hairdo. That's to say the least, I guess. But kind of cool. Would you say? Got to redo the hairdo. Jeez, I actually need a freaking haircut very bad. Jeez, man, this is getting nuts. Freaking too much. It's like it's winter, growing it out. But it's just too much to manage at this point. For me, at least. I don't know. But we got some people hanging out over on Rumble. What's up, fellas? I'm doing a couple different streams right now. So we got TikTok up here, we got Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, all the things, answering health questions. Sorry for burping on stream. I know it's kind of gross, but you can't smell the burp, so you'll be all right. Um, Laura Bolt popping in. How we doing, Laura? One of the day ones. One of the day ones. How is a pregnancy, Miss Laura? How's the baby coming along? Let us know. I know you said you were really nauseous last time. We talked about calcium lactate powder. Um, fantastic. If you're a pregnant woman and you're nauseous as all hell, please do that. Change your life. Mix it with some aloe vera juice. Good. Just at work? Oh my goodness. Working? Dang, girl. Still working. Well, I guess you're on Central Time, so you're an hour back. Not as bad, but ah, got the weekend off. All right. Let's see. Is there any other materials that I prepared for us? I don't know. Get done at 10:30. Woof. That's a long day. They're still banging freaking doors downstairs. I don't think you guys can hear that. This mic's pretty good. This mic's actually freaking awesome, to be honest. Ow. I keep shocking myself, man. What's a DC? I'm a chiropractor. Chiropractor, practitioner for. Oh, that's completely backwards for you guys. Um, but pop over to YouTube and it won't be backwards. But yeah, practitioner for the Wallace Way, basically all holistic health restoration, uh, so that we can basically focus on mental, chemical, physical stress, run labs to identify those different stressors so that we know exactly how to support everybody individually. That way, it's customized care for that person from food to different lifestyle factors that you can be changing and addressing there, plus supplementation. Obviously, that's part of it too. if you can't get things in nutritionally or keep messing things up from a lifestyle, standpoint, so, yeah, different approach. Obviously, some people are like, "You're a chiropractor. You're practicing medicine." And it's like, "Well, no. I don't use medications, I don't use surgery, I don't treat or cure things with a single supplement and do some of the things that people say on TikTok, which is basically like a breeding ground for what supplement do I take for blank, which is not how it works. It's how medications work, that's how everybody's trained to think. It's really common, but instead of being, a fire department system, which nothing wrong with that system, it's basically identifying pathology, and if there's a fire with your house or a health issue, and the house is on fire, it's life or death, gotta do something, medication or surgery or, axe or a hose. Fire department uses those 2 tools, so my tools are more of how do we rebuild things? It's more long term. Obviously, it's not gonna be overnight, but, it can be pretty quick if you stick to what I tell you to freaking do here, but most people do very well, to be quite honest, and it's very fulfilling. Like, I freaking love what I do. Like, I cannot imagine doing anything else. Like, I would hate anything else. Dead honest. I would hate anything else. But yeah, Cheesy's heart says hello. Hello. How are you? Where are you from? Where are you tuning in from? From the Philippines. Wow. A little ways away. I'm in New Jersey in the United States. I'm due September 11th. Oh my goodness, Laura. Are you a doc? What do you specialize? I'm a doctor of chiropractic, so it's basically all holistic health here. Um, shoot, what did Kim say? Oh, she said a Canadian. Greetings, Kim from Canada. Um, but yeah, all holistic health stuff. So, um, want to run blood work, urine, GI labs, all these things to identify really immune and neurological stressors, which are mental, chemical, physical stress. Sorry for the people that have heard me explain this already. Um, but through that, then you can pretty much isolate what food, what lifestyle factors, what medicinal tinctures or mushrooms or glandulars, proteins, whatever it needs to be to get that person's responses back to normal, which usually it's somebody that's in a gray area. I know I said I was going to post the patient case today, but it'll come out tomorrow. I've got all the labs together. I want to make sure I get their story right and represent them well. But it's basically a hairdresser that just interacts with a lot of cosmetology products for 30 plus years, and those have phthalates and all these things that are gonna mess with your neurological and immune system like crazy. So, yeah, switching cadmium and hairdressers dealing with heavy metals is really common, really common. Not that people are crazy. There's a reason. There's a reason it's happening. So, um, for a lot of people like that, it's okay. Food testing just gives you a ton of control of figuring out what immune responses you can get ahead of and just use diet to regulate a lot of these things. You just want to make sure you're getting all 4 IgGs looked at to have the proper test done that way, and then looking at antibodies in different forms because we need to know that. If the body's autoimmune, you do have to know that. That's gonna make a massive difference in what the approach is and how aggressive with certain things, um, just for helping that immune response adapt, basically. Um, The GI has a lot to do with this, man. Any form of autoimmunity, GI has so much to do with it. Um, I'm very hesitant to say that that is the only thing you should look for. That is not the only thing that you should test for and look at. There's much more, but that's it's a really good place to kinda close your eyes and throw a dart to. Okay. I know you do international consults, but I wish I could import you to the UK. We could do a Teams call. We could do a Microsoft Teams call and do it that way. So it's kind of in person, but it's just like this, and then I see you too. Um, but yeah, send me a message or, in my bio, so if you click on my name, it'll take you to my profile thing, and then there's a website there that you can schedule a complimentary call, which is basically a free consult. Ask your questions. We can go over some of the previous labs that you've had, and if I'm covering some of your questions here and name some supplements, I only name the stuff that is available in the online store, so I'm not gonna tell you to take stuff that you can't find. That's just crazy. Um, or if it's not in there, I'll tell you where to get it. Um, but yeah, some people just jump right to the new patient appointment, like a couple people on Monday already from, today's live earlier. So I have to actually, it was good timing that I just had a shipment come in during the last live. I was actually almost running out of some stuff, and I was worried because I'm like, I'm about to go live again, and the shipment came in, everything's good, stocked shelves, and had some dinner. That's been like the second half of my day. Because Fridays, I just do morning hours only for patients. Man, so burpy today. What's up with that, huh? Okey doke. Ooh, another question. When it's time to raise your bupropion from 150 to 300, I think that is a mental health medication for dopamine. I could be wrong, though. I do not prescribe medication, so I only do holistic stuff, so I don't know. But in terms of dopamine and how to influence that, you wanna get chronic inflammation out of the GI. That's where a lot of that neurotransmitter is produced and influences the brain. Same with serotonin and all those things too. So, oh, my butt is getting uncomfortable. Freaking heck. Back to work, but I can still hear you. Nice. Nice that, I'm in your ear. I'm in your ear. That's the goal. I don't post these videos for nothing. Actually, I've been posting all my videos to my clinic account, so you can find that, the ones with Randolph. Check her out because I basically wanted to build this up so I could get to 1,000 followers on here so I could put the online store up there because I found that every time I went live, you people were like, "Where do I get this stuff from?" The stuff that you talk about. So I fixed that problem. Uh, we have nothing like this in the UK. Doctors couldn't be more close-minded. It is a battle. Well, that's unfortunate, but I mean, you know, again, fire department system. So that's the way it's designed. That's the way insurance is designed. The same way, like, if you wanted to redo the floors in your house for whatever reason, you wanted to upgrade the floors or put a supercharger on your car, State Farm is gonna laugh at you if you're like, "Hey, do you cover this?" You know? They cover it if the car gets in an accident, if the house burns down, then they cover it. So Yeah, I mean, the whole system, it's called healthcare, but, it's emergency care, you know? Not that that's a bad thing, that's not a bad thing. We need it. People be dropping left and right. We live longer than ever because of that. So, but the quality of life is what we have to fix. And when you're in that gray period where you've seen several different specialists, you're doing several different things, nothing's working, that's like, am I crazy to say that there can be some other things to pay attention to? I don't know. Hopefully you get my point, you know? If not, success story dropping tomorrow. So check that out. Have you ever worked alongside a music therapist? No, but that's really cool. I'm studying it in college. That is really cool. I haven't, but I would consider it. What do you think about eczema? Usually skin problems are coming from the GI. So if it's something like eczema, you want to look at food allergies, you want to look at doing a GI test because you're going to find immune responses and antigens that your system is now not able to cope with anymore. And usually opportunistic infections overgrow and your body's trying to get that out, but it can't. So it pushes it out through the skin and then you have eczema. So, uh, you know, can you reduce some sugar? Can you check your vitamin D in the short term? I would just go to Lincoln Bio, click the complimentary call. Even if you're on a really tight budget, I will figure out a way to get you where you need to be. So, um, but yeah, it's a matter of testing to figure out for you as an individual because you're going to be different than other people. So there's not, just like one blueprint approach to everybody with eczema. I wish it was that way. that would be that would make my job super easy. But yeah, maybe you could do something like beef tallow in the short term. You could do something like Oregon grape. Um, but yeah, I want to talk to you about it and isolate what you need to do. And that's in regards to food and lifestyle and if you need supplementation and all that stuff. So, why do you think there's such a stigma against DCs and DOs in our healthcare? Um, it's a different approach. So, if you start to step outside the lines of like the majority of how people think, you're going to be met with some type of backlash, right? Um, but that kind of goes for anything. That even goes for like any politician. Half the people will like you, half the people won't. So, um, my job here is kinda focus on the people that want this form of care, and if you don't, that's cool. I'm not gonna chase you down, you know? Uh, that's just kinda my 2 cents on that, but I don't know. This is only I only see this in the US, though, so I do wanna highlight that. I think something's going on there. I do not see that same response to nurses or docs or other people I see on this live in other countries, oddly enough. They're usually appreciative of what I'm talking about, which is really weird. So, I don't know. Maybe it's our mental, chemical, and physical stressors adding up. Is this actually live right now from Mr. Aaron? Sorry, I missed this, Aaron. I was, in my TikTok comments trying to find out bio isn't showing. Where are you located? Oh, shoot. Well, I'm sorry, Aaron. I don't know if she's here anymore. Um, whoopsies. I missed that one. We were gonna help Aaron. Sorry, that was on the other platforms, yeah. But yes, we are live. We are live right now, and the bio should be working. I don't know why it wouldn't be. I tested it and everything. I don't know if Aaron's back, but if you can hear me, Aaron, this is live. So, special ability says, "Thank you. You're very welcome. You're very welcome." Wow. I almost died. I did not correctly drink my drink right there, but we're still alive. We're still cooking. Actually, do you ever think about that? Because it's just me in this office right now. So, like, what if I don't know, I ate, like I would never eat a mozzarella stick, but if I had one, start choking on the mozzarella stick, I'm gonna have to give myself the Heimlich or something. I don't know. Maybe this is something I only think about, but let us know if anybody else thinks that. Ooh, what is a subluxation? Cool question. Kind of very different for me to get that question, but, yeah, it's basically if you swap subluxation with fixation, same thing. There's certain, vertebrae that could find themselves getting stuck in certain positions, and that will influence neurological interference, um, and impacts all the other body systems that way. So you can have somatovisceral reactions, and that's pretty much how you could change, you know, in some instances, somebody's hearing or some neurological system can be changed by addressing the neurological system. Wow. But it may not seem that it's coming from there, and it's not a predictor of where it will go, or impact. So, what do you recommend for inflammation for people with osteoarthritis? You're going to want to do some boswellia. You're going to want to do some turmeric, um, just to work on NF-kappa beta signaling and to work on the joint tissues themselves. It's just most arthritic issues are coming from usually a deficiency there or some form of autoimmunity, when it's a chronic issue that's gone on for so long. So I would want to isolate whether that's a deficiency issue or autoimmunity, some type of immune response. I can't really tell that from what you gave so far, but boswellia, turmeric will certainly help with pain and things like that. Um, link in bio for all that stuff, but um, you know, it's kinda gonna vary. Like, if it is more deficiency things, you can do different forms of K2, you can do vitamin D3, you can do bone broth proteins, like, that's if it's more deficiency. If it's more from an immune thing, then you wanna do different labs for that to identify those immune things. And depending on what shows up, it's gonna be different support. So, yeah, it's the approach that I give here is all based on the individual, so it's really hard sometimes to to answer these, you know? I had a Wellness Red blood hormone test. Will it be that accurate compared to the Dutch? So blood is gonna look at production. Blood will always look at production. Um, the Dutch is mainly looking at conversion through phase 1 metabolism there. So, yeah, I it's they're both are gonna be accurate. It's just looking at a different aspect of it. Gracias de nada. I don't speak Spanish, but thank you. I'm 72, if that helps. So, yeah, I would say more along the deficiency side of things. So, I would wanna know your vitamin D, huge marker to look at, and you could do some bone broth protein, you can do some boswellia, you can do some turmeric, um, but yeah, if you want a complimentary call, click on the profile, link in bio. 72 on TikTok, that is impressive, by the way. Sorry, this is my second live, so my voice is like my brain is just petering out. I had a little bit of kava today, though, so when you do, a little bit of a higher dose of kava, you can get more of a stimulatory effect that way, so sometimes helps for doing these lives. It's just you do get that nice relaxation crash afterward, so, um, how can I fix poor absorption in the GI? Stomach acid, so betaine HCl. You could do you do wanna work on getting inflammation down, so inflammatory responses do need to come down. Something like betaine HCl, Albizia, Lobeck, or Lorbeck, and then More absorption, so I'm just gonna assume it's more proteins, fats, things like that. You want to help out your liver and gallbladder a ton. So something like dandelion root will help the small intestine. It'll help the gallbladder and removing excess bile through, stimulating the liver there. So BTNHCl, Albizia, dandelion, just make sure you're drinking a lot of water with those 3 because you're gonna pee a lot in a good way. Get inflammation out. Mm, and I would wanna know how you figured out it's poor absorption, because if it's an issue with fat breakdown, then that's gonna be a little bit different. But you could do, some sauerkraut, tons of sauerkraut, because you're gonna get a lot of short chain fatty acids through that, a lot of vitamin C through that. You're gonna help a lot with metabolic activity in the GI, which will impact the tiredness you can get post meals. Um, I would just start there. Maybe a little bit of Oregon grape can help with protein breakdown, fat breakdown. So you do dandelion root, Oregon grape, Albizia, BT-NACL. I would do that for about 3 months, then I would retest, blood work and then see where things are at. So link in bio, you can get all those things. Actually, we just stocked shelves today, so good timing. I will be back here tomorrow too, so if it's something I gotta ship out on the weekend, we're good. Um, what is causing my gallstones? So forms of toxicity. Forms of toxicity that are inhibiting your body's ability to break it down, break fat down properly and secrete bile in the proper amounts, and bile is gonna be used to get toxicity out of the body. So, I would be curious as to if you work a lot with cosmetics, if you've seen mold overgrowth in the home, if you've had a lot of GI complaints or issues there. There can be opportunistic infections, things like that. Alcohol, smoking, vaping, um, even hairdressers I've seen working with hairsprays and dyes and breathing all that in for 20 years. So it depends on where the toxicity came from, because then that will show you what pathways to be supporting. So, um, you know, you could do some dandelion. You can start to break up some stones there. Excuse me, jeez. You can do some dandelion. You can do some milk thistle there. Help with both the liver and the gallbladder. Stimulate different things. Probably gallbladder complex as well, so you can get a good form of ox bile. But I mean, really, you want cooling bitters. I would probably hold off on the milk thistle and just go dandelion root. That way, you can have effect on the urinary tract, on blood pressure, on the kidneys, on the liver, on the gallbladder. Because I don't know if you're anemic or anything, that can be a factor, certainly. Um, yeah, dandelion root, gallbladder complex, and Oregon grape. Oregon grape. Actually, I haven't talked about Oregon grape in a while. Da-da-da. Um, but yeah, dandelion root, more of a liver cooler. Oregon grape, more of a liver stimulant and a digestive bitter. So it can have antimicrobial aspects. Obviously, it's going to be anti-inflammatory. All of these herbs are anti-inflammatory. Um, Anti-psoriatic, so it can help with some skin things that way because the effect on the GI and moving things out because it's a liver stimulant. But improving fat and protein digestion. So that's why I mentioned the BT-NACL so that you can break down proteins a lot better, signal to the pancreas a lot better, and then dandelion root helping a lot of the upper GI, Oregon grape helping a lot of the gallbladder, liver area too. But yeah, obviously it's going to help the pancreas out a ton just because of the amount of berberine within Oregon grape. Um, Probably one of the highest, aside from golden seal, one of the highest berberine herbs on the planet. So, and that's how you should be taking in berberine. It's not in isolation within a herbalized form, liquid form of that, because you're going to get all the constituents with it, all the fatty acids, all the resins, all the minerals, all the flavonoids, alkaloids, everything. And that extraction process takes months and months on end. Um, Plus, our fields are organic. The fields next to those fields are organic. No chance of runoff from. No Mississippi River. What are your thoughts on ivermectin? Um, I think it's part of the chasing bugs and parasite group. Think there. I say test the GI, figure out berry disruption, figure out what's happening, what the body's reacting to, and how to rebuild it back, how to get those things out, and then restore. So getting inflammation down, getting things out of the body, detoxifying, building things back up, and then retesting. That is what I do. Because if you're not doing that, then it is a guessing game. So, like, I'll give you guys some initial things to be working on and to be focusing on, but the labs, man, the labs are everything. So, on that note, um, I will be back here tomorrow, of course. Stay tuned for the autoimmune thyroid video coming out, patient success story that'll broadcast tomorrow. We will also be back here live. So, and for the people I mentioned, you can get complimentary calls, link in bio. You can book appointments. You can use the online store, all that stuff. Just uploaded the skincare with all the tallow balm as well. So feel free to snag that. But hope you guys got some benefit from this today, got some value, and it's time for me to go home and go to bed. You're very welcome to all the people saying thank you. Um, on that note, I'm going to end the stream here on all our other platforms.